Right, this is a second video on finding x and y intercept given a polynomial function. I'll do this one now, but you saw how much work I did for the first example. So I'm going to add another page so that I can do all my factoring work with all the room I need. Okay, so if your goal is to simply find the x and y intercept, the easiest way to do this is to graph this on a graphing calculator, right? So I'm going to go ahead and find the answers first, but I'll show you how you can do this without a graphing calculator. So graph the function f of x equals negative x cubed minus 5x squared plus 21x. So I got a graph. So it looks like this graph is touching the x-axis at negative 7. I'll write these down, okay? Negative 7, 0, and 3. So this graph has 3 x-intercepts. Now, look at this very special point 0, 0, okay? 0, 0 is not only on the x-axis, but it's also on the y-axis, right? 0, 0 is the intersection of x and y axis. So this graph actually has a y-intercept at 0. Alrighty. So this is from the graphing calculator. So that's what you are going to enter for your answers. But why is that true? Okay. In the next 8 minutes, I'll show you why. Okay. Now, if you want to find the y-intercept, and this is by hand, okay, you know the answer already, but if you want to find y-intercept, you will set, I'll say plug in x equals 0. That's all you have to do to find the y-intercept for any function, really. So y equals negative 0 cubed minus 4 times 0 squared plus 21 times 0. Now look how fun this equation is. All of these, the first term, the second term, and the third term, they all are getting multiplied by 0. So everything turns into 0. The y-intercept is indeed at 0. So we got that done. All right, let's go find the x-intercept. Okay, now x-intercept is where you're going to have to brush up on your factoring skill a little bit. So here we go. To find x-intercept, you set the entire function equal to 0. Okay. This is really the same as plugging in y equals 0, like, and y is f of x, right? So that's what you're going to write down. Look, 0 equals negative x cubed minus 4x squared plus 21x. So we set it equal to 0, and we're going to factor this by, we'll see. We can't do this by grouping, right? Because grouping works great if you have 4 terms. But look how many terms I got. I have 1 term, okay? I have 2 terms, and I have 3 terms. When I have 3 terms, I can't group them and factor it by grouping. I will have to, let's see, at least what they have in common though. You see how when I was looking at them, I was scanning them, and both red, orange, and green, guess what they have in common? X. So let's take out that GCF of x here, okay? All right, I'm going to take out the GCF of x. So when I do that, I like to write them underneath so that I can see what we are dividing to get the part inside. But hey, hold on a second. I have an idea, okay? Notice how the leading term is negative, right? So I want to change this to a positive. So instead of taking out positive x from them, take out negative x from all of them. Take out negative x from all of them. And do that when your leading coefficient is negative. Take out that negative x. So let's see what we're going to have now then. You will have 0 equals, and look, I will write that negative x in front of the parenthesis. And let's see what goes inside the parenthesis. All right, focus on this one for me. Okay, this one. negative divided by negative will turn into positive, right? Negative divided by negative turn into positive. Look, I have x to the third power divided by x to the first power. If you simplify that, you will get x squared. All right, let's focus on the next one. Where is my iPad keep going? I'm sorry. It got lost connection again. I'm bringing it back. Give me 1 second. All right, it's back. I am now dividing these two. Now look at the sign for me. We're looking at negative divided by negative. So the sign should be positive. 4 will remain the same because we're not really doing anything to the number 4. But if you do x squared divided by x to the first power, see, the new exponent will just be x to the first power. Okay, so I can just put 4x. Now let's look at the last term over here. Let me see what color do I want to put. Purple. Okay, look at this one for me. Positive divided by negative. Positive divided by negative is negative, right? 21 will come down, but what happened to x divided by x? X is canceled out. No more x. Oh, okay. Now I want you to focus on this trinomial inside, because we're going to now factor this. I'm going to break that guy down, okay? So these first two, like these ones stays the same. Let me just copy this down exactly the same, okay? But now we are breaking down that trinomial into two binomials by thinking about what two numbers multiply to be 21. What times what is 21? Do you agree with me if I say 3 times 7, right? Not only that 3 times 7 is 21, but if I make the 7 a positive and 3 a negative, I can do 7 minus 3 and get that middle 4, right? So that's how we can factor that colorful trinomial. Now, we're done. We're just going to have to find some zeros now. Remember in class, I would like identify the chunks of multiplication. Like there is one chunk, there's the second factor, and then there's this third factor, and we have to set each of these equal to 0 to solve for 0. So when is negative x equal to 0? Well, I can you see how if it just says negative x, that's negative 1, right? So you can divide both sides by negative 1, but you'll notice that 0 divided by negative 1 is just 0. So first 0 is x equals 0. Let's find the next one. When will x minus 3 be equal to 0? Well, add 3 to both sides. This equation is equal to 0 when x is positive 3, right? Hey, we found the second x-intercept. Let's do the last one. When is x plus 7 equal to 0? Subtract 7 from both sides. The last 0 is negative 7. Now I'm going to zoom out because we saw these 3 answers from a graphing calculator about 10 minutes ago. See, there's negative 7, 0, and 3. And we got the right answer. So if you are going up to calculus next semester, you need to practice these factoring skills. I know for this week's homework, you can just graph it and get your x and y intercept, but I do want you to review your factoring skills and how to find the y-intercept, especially if you're going up to a calculus class next semester.